हेलो एंड वेरी वार्म गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू। और एक बार फिर हम आ गए हैं TOI स्पोर्ट्स पर बियॉन्ड द बाउंड्री, हमारा शो लेकर। आज थर्सडे है, नॉट फ्राइडे। टुमारो इज फ्राइडे एंड वील बी लुकिंग एट द फर्स्ट T20 टुमारो, साउथ अफ्रीका वर्सेस इंग्लैंड, सॉरी, साउथ अफ्रीका वर्सेस इंडिया, जस्ट बिफोर द न्यू सीरीज begins, which is the BGT। लेकिन हम उसके बारे में कल बात करेंगे। टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू आवर बिल्ड अप of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. As always, I'm Chetan Narula. Will be joined by a full panel. और हम आज बात करने वाले हैं इंडिया ए के टूर के बारे में जो चल रहा है, which is ongoing. The second unofficial test match is ongoing between India A and Australia A, and it's been a bit of a struggle. और थोड़ा सा worrying point ये है क्योंकि A, you have the second generation of Indian cricketers to be coming in, and in a way a lot of people are expecting some players from this squad to potentially be added to the India squad for the test series. So let's bring on our panelists and let's have the discussion on India A's struggles in Australia currently. We have with us Sahil Malhotra and Nitin Nayak, with Dupinder Tat to join us shortly. Warm welcome to you guys. How you been?
Thank
All
you.
good, Chetan. Thanks.
Thank you.
So let's get started on this. And I'm sure you guys have been following this as well as you do with Indian cricket. Um, I'll get your first thoughts on this. It's not been, कहते हैं ना कि कॉन्फिडेंस आता है किसी परफॉर्मेंस को देख के कि हाँ ऑस्ट्रेलिया जा रहे हैं, दिस एंड दैट। यू नो it's not a good time for Indian cricket at the moment. Senior team के साथ जो हुआ, and the Indian A side, our youngsters or our second string players going there, KL Rahul, Dhruv Jurel, etc., etc. It's not been the happiest of readings so far. Sahil, let's begin with you.
No, absolutely, Chetan. And I keenly follow these series or the shadow tours, so to say, now that they have returned again. Like, I keenly keep an eye on these because you try and get a sense of what probably the senior management is also thinking about, getting out of this series like this. So when KL Rahul was drafted, and then yesterday there were suggestions that he did open. So
Yeah.
all eyes naturally were on him about how he
Mm.
will fare, because I potentially saw that as an audition for the opener spot, because clearly they are not still convinced with Abhimanyu Easwaran. We'll discuss that
Yes.
at, but then seeing KL Rahul, seeing other batters struggle against the rising ball, and clearly Michael Nesser kind of planted those seeds of doubt in their head with regards to the short ball, and that's why they were so vulnerable when the ball was pitched up and was doing just enough to kind of have them hopping and popping. So disappointing day, and you would expect more out of them.
Mm.
Primarily because they have been playing first class cricket for a very long time. All these guys, Devdutt
Mm.
Padikkal looked very good. He was crunching those drives whenever it was pitched up. Unfortunate that the ball he got out to was, something which like rose from a very awkward spot, I would say. But I was impressed with Dhruv Jurel in particular. Very, very impressive. Very clear in his head, and you need clarity when you are playing on
Yeah.
Australian
I
tracks.
mean,
So he was
yeah.
very
Talk about
clear
that.
in his.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. We'll go into detail. Nitin, your thoughts? The scorecard is the one from the second unofficial test, which is being played in Melbourne. Let's also get the scorecard from, or the summary of the first one, which Australia A won. And meanwhile, we'll get thoughts from Nitin. There it is, 7 wicket victory for Australia A. Nitin, your first thoughts? I mean, Sai Sudarshan did well in that first one. There are comments about Sai Sudarshan as well. Mukesh Kumar did well with the ball. So a couple of bright sparks over there, but this test was always, the second one was always going to be more important because you had KL Rahul added to it, you had Dhruv Jurel added to it. In a way, you were already preparing some players from your test squad, or and others as well potentially. Abhimanyu Easwaran, he's already part of the squad. So, what have your thoughts been? First thoughts about this ongoing series?
Concerns, yes, and also because MCG, where this game is currently being played, is one of the venues of the test match. I think the fourth test is going to
Yeah.
be played there. Obviously, the weather patterns then at that time of the year would be different. Closer to peak summer, this is I think still early part of the season. The wicket might be a little bit more fresher now than what it would be at that time of the year. But I think concerns, yes, as Sahil mentioned, could not deal with the bouncing ball. And if you look at all the wickets that fell today, they were all perfect setups.
Yeah.
short of length, short of length. Then a bit more further up, ball steaming away, batsman playing for the line, and then being beaten by the seam. Concerns, yes, uh, and worrying signs ahead.
And if you remember, you mentioned, batters being beaten by a seam first up, like early in the day, etc., etc., and the entire day. In fact, it was not really great watching. कल हम बात कर रहे थे हमारे pace attack के बारे में, and I had made that point that seam movement in Australia is going to be really vital. And I think we are already seeing that. This game happening in Melbourne at the MCG. Let's talk about the first test, of course, and then obviously we'll talk about what's been happening in the second test match. First test, of course, 107 and 312 for India A. जो second innings with 312 था, we had Sai Sudarshan leading the way with a century. We also had Devdutt Padikkar. They were being talked about as in form. उस टाइम पे जो इंडिया का debacle हुआ against New Zealand, they were being talked up. Okay, the next generation of players, when the transition does come, these are the players that we might see on the international arena. And in terms of the bowling attack, if you talk about it, Mukesh Kumar obviously he did really well. And there's been a lot of discussion in terms of why Mukesh Kumar hasn't been he isn't part of the test squad. He's a traveling reserve. और साहिल हमने इस बारे में बहुत बात की है कि you need a workhorse bowler, and I think the two of us have identified over the last couple of weeks कि Mukesh Kumar could be or could have been that workhorse bowler. Now let's talk about this second unofficial test match which is happening now. और आज सबसे बड़ी चीज जो हमें देखने को मिली है, and I think that news started coming on from yesterday itself, and post match India New Zealand test, KL Rahul opened the innings with Abhimanyu Easwaran. एक तरफ हम देख रहे हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया इज हैविंग अ शूट आउट फॉर देयर सेकंड ओपनर स्पॉट, and at the same time is the Indian team, India A, also having a shootout for their second opener spot. Your first thoughts on KL Rahul opening with Abhimanyu Easwaran, and then I'll come to Nitin Nayak as well. Sahil?
You're asking me? Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry, sorry, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, yeah.
No, I didn't see that coming.
There's only three of us
No,
here, Abhi.
no, I didn't see this coming.
Good.
KL
Yeah,
Rahul
yeah.
auditioning as the opener. I think you moved his batting position enough to make his life miserable already. Opener, middle order opener. Already that guy looks so confused and out of place right now. And again, you are planting those doubts in his head कि वो बैटिंग पोजीशन को लेके आप उसको श्योरिटी नहीं दे रहे, और फर्स्ट
Hmm.
टेस्ट में अगर आप उसको ओपन कराओगे, खुदा ना खास्ता वो नहीं चलता, आप अज्यूम करो वो नहीं चलता, मैं कह रहा हूँ नहीं चलता, वो नहीं चलता तो वो ड्रॉप होगा,
Why is
वो
that the
ड्रॉप।
assumption? Why is that the assumption? Chalo,
अरे
anyway,
मतलब
carry
अभी
on,
चलो
carry on.
पॉपुलर वर्ड जो है, जो पॉपुलर एक्सपेक्टेशन है, चलो उसी पे बात करते हैं। वो नहीं चलता, वो फिर ड्रॉप हो जाएगा। व्हाट डज ही डू नाउ? ही गोज बैक टू द नेट्स, प्रिपेयर्स एज अ
Yeah,
मिडिल ऑर्डर देन। मतलब
yeah.
इतना कंफ्यूज मत करो ना यार। अभी आपको आप अब या तो आपने जो ये डिस्ट्रैक्शन टैक्टिक किया था बीजीडी का स्क्वाड अनाउंस करके, विच वाज अ
Hmm.
कंप्लीट डिस्ट्रैक्शन प्लॉय, वरना उस
Yeah.
टाइम पे उस माहौल में टीम स्क्वाड अनाउंस करना का कोई जल्दी नहीं था। वीजा ये
Hmm.
ऑलरेडी लगवा चुके थे, टी शर्ट के साइजेस ऑलरेडी ले चुके थे प्लेयर से, तो किसके लिए स्क्वाड अनाउंस हुआ मुझे नहीं पता था। यू कुड हैव वेटेड probably
Okay.
if you were not convinced with Easwaran, Sai Sudarshan could have been your guy, because clearly you
Okay.
are not convinced with Easwaran, clearly.
Okay, yes, we'll come to the Eastwaran topic, but यहाँ पर let's be very honest. Um, this is a very important signal that the team management is thinking something different. They aren't convinced. Let's talk about the first test. Where what did Eastwaran score in the first test? Do we have those scores? He scored 7 in the first innings, and he
Yeah.
scored 12. He was run out in the second innings, so he scored 19 runs. Today also he didn't do much. So we'll come to Eswaran. He's yeah there you go. 19 runs in 3 innings. First class. The average is good. We've talked about Eswaran a lot. People think that he should be a contender for that opener slot. But Sahil, we have discussed on this show that the selectors are not very convinced with his performances in these conditions. Whenever he plays overseas for India A, हम आएंगे ऐश्वर्यन पे, but what I want to talk about right now, and especially with Nitin, is ये muddled thinking बता रहा है. कल हमारे पास comments आए थे कि there's a chance that we muddle up our selection, and that also costs us. So right now, what I can see, and I think everybody can see, is because Rohit Sharma might not be available for the first test, potentially not available for the second test either. You're again going back with KL Rahul as the opener.
Okay.
Is that the right move to go? And again, the second part of the question, is it even fair on KL Rahul? And okay, you can understand कि okay, ये हम सभी क्रिकेटर्स से सुनते हैं कि I will bat anywhere wherever the team demands me to bat. But even KL Rahul, from a personal point of view, needs to understand, भाई एक spot pick कर लो ना आप. कभी आप
Yeah.
कह रहे हो मैं middle order, कभी कह रहे हो मैं opener. So what is really happening? We are already seeing some sort of a muddled thinking here. KL Rahul back as opener, that is just a little disappointing.
Yeah, and they've they've done it quite hastily. I mean, he did well
Yeah.
in South Africa at number 6. Uh, then yes, he batted only one innings at on two innings rather at
Yeah.
Bangalore at number 6. And what are you trying to tell him? That okay, you are going to be our end seal or
Hmm.
stopgap,
Hmm.
Mr. Fixer.
Hmm.
Uh, 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 One day
Mr.
cricket
Fix
पे
It.
आपके पास
Mr. Fix It.
Mr. Fix It, yeah, Mr. Fix It or your MC or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
हाँ, हमारे पास विकेट कीपर नहीं है व्हाइट बॉल क्रिकेट में, तो चलो
तो आप
तुम
वो
व्हाइट
बन
बॉल
जाओ.
क्रिकेट में आप बन जाओ. हमारे पास ओपनर का तकलीफ हो रहा है, तो नहीं तो आप आ जाओ. हमारे पास नंबर 6 कहीं पे न्यू बॉल खेलने के लिए और विकेट कीपिंग ऑप्शन के लिए भी एक सेकंड कीपर के लिए हमको कोई चाहिए, तो आप आ जाओ. तो कम ऑन, आई मीन, I'm not presenting a wakalatnama for KL Rahul here, but
Hmm.
I'm just trying to, if you put yourself in his shoes, I mean
Hmm.
that guy will be completely confused. I mean, I'm sure that he would have volunteered to do this. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
sure he was asked that would you like to go a little bit earlier and play as an opener, and I'm
Yeah.
sure he would have put his hand up because he
Yes,
would
but
not
that's
want.
my point. That's my
Yeah, yeah,
point. We have seen this time and again, and I think let's give him some credit here. Let's give him some credit to say कि okay, last season आप middle order batter बन गए. This time around, you're saying okay, the team needs me. I'm ready to go back to
yeah,
opening the innings, and he's done that. Look at his statistics there. 34 average as opener in 44 tests.
yeah,
In Australia, he's opened in 4 test matches. His average is down 26 ka average hai, which is not really too great. Nothing much to write home about. He had started off well at a point, but not really too much to write home about. As a middle order batter, in 10 matches, 430. Again, that's strike rate. And this is again batting at either 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. क्योंकि ये up and down करते ही रहते हैं KL Rahul.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
no fixed spot for him anywhere. चाहे top order ले लो, चाहे middle order ले लो. Right?
yeah, yeah.
And in Senna countries, again, 5 matches he's played, 150 runs out of those 430, and the average is 18.7. So, look, the record is not great whether you're talking about opener or middle order. लेकिन आप अगर एक ऑप्शन देख रहे हो इस टाइम पे केएल राहुल को पिछला प्रेसिडेंस देख के you would want to say कि बॉस stay in the middle order because you've chosen the middle order, right? क्योंकि
Yeah.
देखो आपका एक ट्रांजिशन का टाइम भी आ रहा है. You can't just keep going back to KL Rahul as the solution for it. You have to find a new solution for it because eventually Rohit Sharma का टाइम आएगा that he has to be moved on. Then you need a new name there. Is KL Rahul that solution? I'm not sure about it. And at the same time, personally, I think it's even unfair to ask him कि बॉस आप सिर्फ up down ही करते रहो बैटिंग ऑर्डर में. साहिल, your thoughts?
I agree, yaar. I completely agree. And I completely agree with when you said that a cricketer says I'm ready to bat anywhere. सब बोल देते हैं यार, but that's at the surface यार. मतलब आप deep down preparation as a middle order batter, preparation as an opener, they're completely different things. When you visualize as a batter before going into bat, you visualize completely different things. As a middle order batter, you would visualize getting your bat and pad together, but as an opener, you would visualize leaving the balls more often outside the fourth stump or in the corridor of uncertainty. So all these things, you are clearly confusing him, and that confusion has continued ever since he, I think, agreed or proposed that he will become a wicketkeeper in ODIs for that middle order spot. That was something which gave him that extended run in ODIs. But since then, that stopgap arrangement, which costed Ishan Kishan 6 months of cricket and his central contract, all those things, they haven't augured well for Team India पूरा as a whole अगर आप देखा जाए तो. So clarity दो यार. अभी आप मतलब आप विराट रोहित का पोजीशन फिक्स रखते हो ना. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि आप ऐसा स्टार ट्रीटमेंट सबको देना शुरू करो, बट क्लैरिटी तो दे ही सकते हो ना Shuman asked for number 3, you gave him number 3, he has stayed number 3. You're not even thinking about pushing him back
Yeah,
to top of the order.
and he has
And
performed well as opener on the last tour.
obviously,
On the
and
last tour,
मतलब
अगर आप किसी को push करना चाहोगे, आप number
तो आप
3 बैटर को
उसको
push करना चाहोगे.
Correct. So अब ठीक है, मैं ध्रुव जुरेल को I wouldn't push him under the bus, but his most runs in the first class circuit came as an opener. I think he scored a double hundred as an opener अपने शुरू के
Yeah,
दूसरे तीसरे
yeah,
मैच में.
yeah.
But he too isn't your opener. He just played as an opener because UP couldn't find a spot for him in the middle order. But KL Rahul को clearly आप confuse कर रहे हो, and it's very unfortunate for a player of that caliber. We have been speaking कि उस quality के player को आप थोड़ा क्लैरिटी दे दोगे यार, तो वो क्वालिटी क्वांटिटी ऑफ रन्स में ट्रांसलेट करेगी, वरना इट्स गोइंग टू बी अ वेरी सॉरी एंड टू व्हाट कुड हैव बीन अ ब्रिलियंट करियर.
Okay, I'll take Kiran Kumar's comment a little later, जो पहले comment था, लेकिन यहाँ पे मैं ये comment लेना चाहूँगा. What credit he played 53 tests, whatever the comment is. You know, I'll tell you what credit. हम लोग बात करते हैं और सोशल मीडिया पे, you know, ठीक है, आप सोशल मीडिया को इतना सीरियसली नहीं ले सकते हो, but there's a lot of negativity about KL Rahul. And Nitin, I think, you know, Sahil mentioned कि player बोल देता है, but I think KL Rahul is one player who will do anything for the team. जो भी आप उसको रोल दोगे, ओडीआई में आपने उसको कीपर बैटर बनाया, वो किया उसने. ही केम इन द मिडिल ऑर्डर एंड ही स्कोर्ड अमेजिंग रन्स, राइट. लास्ट ईयर टेस्ट मैच में भी आपने उसको साउथ अफ्रीका में कीपर बैटर बना दिया, ठीक है. फिर उसके बाद आप इंग्लैंड सीरीज इंडिया में आए, आपने बोल दिया कि बॉस आप मिडिल ऑर्डर में बैटिंग करो, फर्स्ट टेस्ट में आप कीपिंग नहीं करोगे, ठीक है. आपने ये किया. सो आप कह रहे हो कि आप ओवरसीज में हमारे कीपर बैटर हो, लेकिन होम में आप नहीं हो हमारे कीपर बैटर. And then Rishabh Pant comes back, immediately slots into keeper batter. Rishabh Pant is Rishabh Pant. There is nothing wrong with that. But immediately what happens, uske aftermath mein, KL Rahul is not assured of his spot, right?
Yeah.
He's not assured of his spot. So he's suddenly competing as a middle order batter. जो आपको confirmation मिल रही थी कि overseas जाके मैं keeper batter तो हूँ ना, वो confirmation भी चली गई. And now you're asking him to open the innings. Look, there's a lot of negativity about it. The fact, I want to say something here, and I've known KL Rahul personally over the years. It's very simple. The fact that he's agreed to do this, अब वो टेस्ट मैच में ओपन करेगा या नहीं करेगा, that's a totally different issue. But the fact that he's even gone ahead with this experiment, I think that's where he deserves some credit. Nitin?
Yeah, I think he deserves at least the first test now that he's agreed to open here.
Yeah.
And, you know, this whole business of the player being asked or a player telling the team management, okay, I'm willing to bat wherever the team needs me, takes me to that fabulous conversation that John Wright had with Tendulkar in the 2003 World Cup. You know, Tendulkar was being moved down the order and was batting at number 4 for almost a year in one-day cricket because Ganguly and Sehwag were opening. And some things were not working. Even against Netherlands, I think he batted at number 4 and he got a 50 where you know, team hardly made 200 but then bowled Netherlands out. And then I think John Wright had a one-on-one with Tendulkar. And he said, boss, what's happening? We need you firing in this World Cup. What's happening? Are you happy with where you're going? And he said, yeah, I'm happy. Then he asked him, are you happy with where you're batting? He said, I'm happy to do whatever the team wants. He said, forget the team. You tell me, where do you want to bat? And he said, I want to open. And that's when the whole campaign turned for India. And I think this is what we have to ask. The team management owes it to KL Rahul and ask him, boss, we are prepared to give you a run of these many games as at this position. You tell us
Exactly, right?
Yeah. And I think once that happens, and then it's okay. You either move him out, or you know, or if he does well, then continue with him at that spot for a period of few games.
Okay, and now
But give him a run. Give him a run.
Yeah,
give him a run.
No, and that's I'll tell you, Nitin, what is the problem with that statement that you've made. First, I'll take this comment, Om Prakash Dash, because this is something which is related to your comment as well. I'm sorry, I'm not against KL Rahul, and can Indian test team play like a stopgap situation, and he should have guts to take a decision. Okay, look, it's not, you know, why we are giving him credit is because it's not just his decision, and this is an extraordinary situation that's cropped up. कि Indian team को Rohit Sharma जैसे player का replacement चाहिए, and it's not a long-term replacement because he's probably coming back after one test or two test matches, however his personal situation might be. Now, this is the problem here with what you have said, Nitin, and I don't take this comment to heart, Om. I'm just taking your comments, and yeah, you know, my point here is, आप केएल राहुल को ये भी नहीं कह सकते ना कि आप ऑस्ट्रेलिया में उसको एक लॉन्ग रोप दोगे as an opener, you know, because what happens is, let's say he scores a half century in Perth, Yashasvi Jaiswal scores a half century in Perth, irrespective of whatever happens in the test match, जो भी result रहता है, Then second test match, Rohit Sharma comes back. What are you going to tell KL Rahul ki boss आपने हाफ सेंचुरी तो बना दिया लेकिन अब आप ओपनर नहीं हो, नॉट इवन फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ द सीरीज बिकॉज द कैप्टन इज बैक. अब आप वापस जा रहे हो मिडिल ऑर्डर में वापस compete करने के लिए. नाउ यू competing again with सरफराज और ध्रुव जुरेल or whoever is for that number 5 or number 6 spot. So my point is, whatever KL is deciding about his own batting slot is fine. That's totally different. यहां पर subject ये भी आ रहा है कि there is some lack of clarity from the selectors and the management as well. You can't keep on going back to the same solution again and again, especially a solution that has not worked. And this is where the earlier comment comes in, Kiran Kumar ka, why can't you try in somebody like a Sai Sudarshan who's played the first test and he can bat in the top 3? क्योंकि देखो क्या होता है कभी कभार, first of all, to add to this, जब आपके पास एक stop gap arrangement आता है, we have seen the likes of Rahul Dravid opening or Cheteshwar Pujara opening, you move your number 3 batter for a one match, ठीक है, and then you slot in your middle order batter there. So somebody like a Sai Sudarshan, अगर आप अभिमन्यु ईश्वरन से इतना खुश नहीं हो, somebody like a Sai Sudarshan as a stopgap opener. Sahil, your thoughts?
No, when you were talking about Sai Sudarshan's ability to bat in the top 3, why not Shubman Gill and Shubman Gill opening with Yashasvi and Sai comes in at 3? Just don't push
stopgap
the
arrangement,
youngster
right?
under the bus. Yeah, I think right now, if Shubman had asked for number 3, he should be the first person, talking to the captain and saying, "Boss, when you're not there, I'll open. It's just for
Yeah,
one game. I'll open."
yeah,
So
just one game, right? Yeah,
just one game, right? So don't disrupt complete order. Right now, you're disrupting a lot of things just to keep X, Y, Z comfortable in their comfortable positions. Just don't do that. You have that option. And it again brings me back to that England series where KL Rahul was supposed to bat in the middle order, but Mayank Agarwal got injured. KL went to
2018,
opening.
2018.
उसने open किया, series में अच्छा करा. Then again that middle order thing. I think you've left him very confused, yeah. You left him very confused, and right now if you put him at top of the order, you then see him warming the bench for the next 4 tests, 3 tests. It'll be grossly unfair to him, and you must find a very amicable solution which kind of doesn't tinker so much with your experienced players. There, you want him to be doing the job in the middle order. Make no mistake, our middle order is not that experienced. It still has that fragility to that. Abhi Rishabh Pant or nothing wala situation hai. You
Yeah,
can't expect a Sarfaraz
nothing has
can't
said.
set,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I said. You can't expect a Sarfaraz to set BGT on fire. That's why
yeah,
you could ride on recency bias and have Dhruv Jurel as a specialist batter. Just do that. Take
yeah,
those calls. But don't do too much of KL Rahul up and down. You're doing more harm than good to his career. Yaar. Already you've
yeah.
done so much.
Ricky Ponting has already said that Steve Smith or Rishabh Pant will be the leading run scorers. I think he's right on both accounts. Steve Smith will be the overall leading run scorer, and Rishabh Pant will be India's leading run scorer in this series. That's what I feel. But sports fans says agree could have gone ahead with Gill as opener for the first test as a stopgap arrangement. Fit in KL Rahul or another middle order batter. Yes, that's absolutely valid. Instead of all of this goof up. The only exception I take to this comment is that it's not a goof up yet. What it shows is the thinking of the management, and honestly on our panel we don't agree with that thinking. That's the thing. goof up नहीं कह सकते. अगर per test match जीत गए, KL Rahul ने century बना दी और India 4-0 जीत गया ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, I know it's improbable, but what if it happens, right? It cannot be goof up अभी से. It just shows there's some sort of lack of clarity of thinking, and that's something that we don't agree with. On that note, Gopayan Datta is joining us. Welcome, Gopayan, once again to the show. Your thoughts on India A tour so far, and this discussion topic where KL Rahul has opened the innings for India today. Your thoughts?
They are looking at KL Rahul as the opener. It's quite obvious. So they tried him at the top of the order because Rohit may not be there. But what I am hearing is that Rohit may just delay because there is a 10-day gap in between the two test matches. So he may just come and go back, and the situation is fluid. What I feel is, yes, they may made KL Rahul open in the first innings, but this is a very strange situation. You make him bat at number 5 in the Bangladesh series, then put him up at the top of the order. It's slightly strange. It's quite obvious that they do not have confidence in Abhimanyu Easwaran. That's a given. So I'm guessing if the situation comes to that, they will probably go with KL as the opener because of his experience at the top of the order. And what I saw of Dhruv Jurel today, it looked really good. He looked compact. He looked very
Yeah.
decisive with the way he batted,
Okay.
front foot, back foot, everything. Like so,
Okay.
because your Sarfaraz Khan slot is going to open up. So yeah, he's not a bad option in that slot
Okay.
at number 6. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about we will talk about Dhruv Jurel in a bit, but first of all, we need to talk about the opening situation. First of all, आप अगर ये कह रहे हो कि Rohit might play the first test, there's a big gap between the first and second, and yes, there is a gap. There's a 2 day practice game as well. Uh, Look, there needs to be clarity though, right? There still needs to be clarity whether Rohit is available or not, but that comes at a very later stage, which is all fine. The normal assumption can be that Rohit Sharma will go with the team and will attend that camp and then prepare for the first test. And according to his personal situation, he will fly back or not. कभी भी हो सकता है. But then you can't have a can you just have a stopgap arrangement for that? Why not prepare somebody like a Sai Sudarshan? And that also brings Abhimanyu Iswaran into the picture. Nitin and Sahil, I'll take your thoughts on this. Sahil, let's go with you first. Abhimanyu Iswaran, can we have his stats on the screen? Abhimanyu Iswaran, there's been a lot of chatter. There's a lot of expectancy. People expect him to break into the Indian team. And again, you were the one who mentioned that there is some doubt still, the same doubt that lingers on for Sarfaraz कि
Yeah.
quality pace or movement के against how will Sarfaraz do, and that's for the middle order. Opening the innings a completely different job, especially overseas. So how will Abhimanyu Iswaran do? And India A के लिए those runs haven't been coming. And look, let's be honest, India A का tour अभी काफी time बाद हो रहा है because of the pandemic. But now the statistic is in front of you, right? He's brilliant, 7,000 runs in 100 plus class matches, a very consistent, you know, average there and a consistent strike rate. But look again, at this time of need where we need players to step up, Ashwaran hasn't grabbed that opportunity really.
No, I've always had my doubts about him here because if you look at his runs, the pitches on which he has scored, the oppositions he has scored against, if you just
Hmm.
look at his numbers on moving tracks against quality opposition, the numbers haven't been there. I think this Dilip Trophy was probably the only occasion where he had those consistent runs. But again, आपको opposition का attack भी देखना पड़ेगा ना उसके अंदर.
Hmm.
So that those doubts are always there. And आज जिस तरीके से वो आउट हुए, मतलब गेटिंग स्क्वायर्ड अप टू अ शॉर्ट डिलीवरी, तो फाउंडेशन एक्सपोज होता हुआ दिखता है. आप मतलब राइजिंग डिलीवरी पे आउट हो, पर आप स्क्वायर अप होके शॉर्ट बॉल पे स्लिप पे कैच पकड़ा रहे हो, तो मतलब कुछ तो गड़बड़ है ना. अब वो
And
दया
Michael
ढूंढेगा,
Lewis,
एसीपी प्रतिबंध ढूंढेगा, ये नहीं पता. पर
uh,
पर वो गड़बड़ कहीं पे तो है. सो अगेन सी, अभी अभी प्रॉब्लम ये हो जाता है ना, क्योंकि वो 8 ओवर्स इतने हुए नहीं है, और जो अभी इंग्लैंड के अगेंस्ट हुआ था वो घर पे हुआ था, वो कंडीशंस
हुआ
आपके
था.
फेवर में थी. सो जब तक आप ये ओवरसीज चैलेंजेस के अंदर इनको नहीं एक्सपोज करोगे प्लेयर्स को, एंड एमसीजी वाज अ गुड एक्सपोजर यार फॉर दीज
Yeah,
किड्स, और
yeah,
kids
yeah,
and boys and
yeah.
men. I think they probably understood the importance of running between the wickets. I saw so many twos and threes today because the ball just wasn't traveling. एक बार
It
को
doesn't.
लगा आउटफील्ड इतना हैवी है, बट वो ग्राउंड इज ह्यूमंगस यार, मतलब इट
It,
काइंड ऑफ
it
गेट्स ओवरवेलमिंग.
it's a scary ground. I'll be honest with you. 2014, on my first visit to the MCG, I got locked in over there pre Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, pe 24th December, pe I got locked in. I was working late till 7 p.m. and there was nobody there. There was nobody. Somehow I found a revolving door. And when you're walking alone वहाँ पे ना उस ground पे, it's scary. It's scary at 7 p.m. when MCG at that big stadium when there is nobody at MCG and you're alone there. It's really scary. Somehow I found a revolving door and I was able to get out. Otherwise, I would have spent Christmas night over there. Coming back to the topic, look, Nitin, your thoughts on this? Abhimanyu Eswaran. Sports fan says Eswaran shouldn't be included in further India A tours if he doesn't debut this time. Let's be honest. First test पे यही सब बात कर रहे थे कि if Rohit Sharma misses the first test, Abhimanyu Eswaran, and he's been included in the test squad for this very purpose. And suddenly he failed in that first test, and you have danger signs everywhere. प्याऊं 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 that अब केएल राहुल को आपने opening करा दिया. Clearly, the management, the selectors read into his failures in that first unofficial test.
Yeah, and these are not very good signs
Yeah.
to send to a particular player when you marked him out as an opener, but suddenly you call somebody early from India and make
Hmm.
Yeah.
him open, and
Yeah.
give an impression to the guy that boss, you're on trial now. You better
Hmm.
perform, or you're not going to be picked again. And I
Yeah.
think you now that you've picked him as an opener, you try him out, even at the cost of failure. You must
Yeah.
try him out.
Hmm.
Give him the game at Perth, and see he may perform. You never know. The ball
Yeah.
may not move so much there. The ball will
Yeah.
bounce.
Drop in pitch. Yeah. Drop
Ball,
in pitch.
but the ball, yeah, but the ball may not move so much over there
Yeah.
because I don't think the conditions will be as damp and rainy in Perth as they were in Melbourne today. Today the conditions were overcast. The ball was gripping, and also ball was bouncing. And let's be honest, these are very alien conditions for
Yeah.
players who have not
Definitely.
been to Australia. And I think we should give people some allowance. But I would have preferred if Ishwaran and Sai Sudarshan would have opened and Rituraj would have been given a break here,
Yeah.
because
Ruturaj, we'll come to
Rituraj is
him.
not, yeah, because Rituraj, is not in the picture really in for the BGT, whereas Sai Sudarshan, who did well as an opener in the first game, I think he should have been given this game as an opener too. It would have allowed you to play a left hand right hand combination,
Hmm.
and it's very important in Australia that you have that left hand right hand. Otherwise, you would go back to that Adelaide Test match, that
Yeah.
36 all out. India
Yeah.
played 11 right handers, and the minute
Yeah.
you had two left handers in the middle order in Melbourne, the entire
Hmm.
ball game changed.
Look, fair point. Let's talk about the point that you made कि अगर आपने इनको टेस्ट मैच में खिलाया है conditions, yes, I think one of the reasons why they've gone to KL Rahul is कि okay, look, Abhimanyu Eswaran hasn't inspired that confidence. You don't want to be 5 for 1 and Shubman Gill walking in with the ball dancing around. Um, they're saying, okay, you know what? KL Rahul has at least opened in Australia, so let's go back to that experiment. But at the same time, Shubman Gill has also opened, so आप एक stopgap arrangement कर सकते हो. But anyway, moving beyond that, um, Dopayan, do you agree with Nitin here that आपने अब अभिमन्यु ऐश्वर्यन को टीम में तो कर दिया है? Test squad has been announced. Irrespective of these two matches, there's still one more innings to go. We hope he scores some runs, get some confidence. But irrespective of what happens, if Rohit does miss the first test, अब आप उसको टेस्ट स्क्वाड में लेके जा रहे हो, you have to play him. You must play him. Do you agree with that?
We didn't play him in South Africa also. He was there in the South Africa squad, if you guys remember, beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So there
No, but
is quite clearly there is a lack of confidence in his abilities as an opener for the Indian team. And it
hmm,
happens, I have seen this happening to domestic cricketers like who have got tons of domestic runs, but
yeah,
somehow when it comes to the Indian team management, they are not always confident about players who have come directly from domestic cricket. So,
hmm.
देखो, at the end of the day, it
No, but let me just
खिलाना
interject
ही
here.
पड़ेगा. Like
No, no, yes,
I do, हाँ, I do not endorse this idea of खिला. वो देखो, they will have a 10-day camp there, so
hmm,
they will see who is where, and they should take the call on the basis of that.
hmm,
Like if Ishwaran did get 2 games, which he has another innings probably at MCG. So अगर
yeah,
4 innings में run नहीं करता है, then I don't know. Like probably his they should think uh, of something else. And KL Rahul, obviously KL Rahul has the experience, as you said,
hmm.
England में किया है, Australia में किया है, South Africa में किया है. So
Nitin, yeah,
yeah.
But you
no,
know
no,
what, Dwaipa, none of
just
the
one point.
openers have done well. None of the openers have done well in the three games, in the three innings so far.
True, true. And also, I want to add here, Dopain, you gave South Africa as example. Rohit was there for both test matches. So Abhimanyu Eswaran had gone there as a third choice opener. True. But here, if you're taking him as a third choice opener, you're promoting him to that opening spot. कि ठीक है, you are our third choice opener. Now you're going to Australia and Rohit is not there. So then play him. Now you're experimenting with KL Rahul. That sends mixed signals. Look, okay. Uh, let's also talk about the potential options जो उसके अलावा हैं. Sai Sudarshan, somebody said Ruturaj, and Ruturaj hasn't been scoring too many runs. In fact, I think इस शो पे ही किसी ने बताया था कि Ruturaj hasn't been opening the batting a lot. In fact, the first couple of rounds में he hadn't opened the batting, or was it the first round where he was
Yeah,
off the
he
field
didn't open
sometimes?
for Maharashtra. And
Yeah.
even last
So
season also at Palam, he
yeah,
came in the middle order. I don't know for what joy.
Yeah, yeah. So he's definitely contemplating just like KL Rahul ki मैं middle में batting करूं या opening करूं. So is he even an option? And then again, Sai Sudarshan pe we come back. How tough or easy it is to say कि okay, imagine Sai Sudarshan getting another 100 or another good 50 in the second innings here, and thinking, okay, you know what? Let's draft. So the हम लोग बात करते हैं कि pacers को draft in करेंगे. How easy or tough it is it to draft somebody like a Sai Sudarshan and say, okay, you know what? He can also be drafted into the test squad and into the helicoptered into the first test match. Sahil and then Nitin.
No, Ruturaj Gaikwad, I completely agree with you. That is why I felt it was very harsh on Baba Indrajit to be dropped after
Yeah.
a decade of domestic toil. He just got 2 innings for India A. He was conveniently dropped for this game. I think they should have played him, not played Ruturaj Gaikwad, because you also need one middle order batter ready यार. जब आपके सर पे आपदा पड़ेगी तो आप एकदम से you will be running from corner to post to looking at options. Suddenly you won't find players who are ready to kind of fill in for those positions, and it can happen. This is a
Yeah.
very unforgiving series यार. मतलब अभी लोग सेलेक्टर्स हमारे बहुत कन्वीनियंटली ले रहे हैं. हाँ, केएल को ओपन करा दो, साई को 3 भेज दो. बहुत ऐसा माहौल लग रहा है कि टपरी पे बैठ के टीम बनाया जा रहा है. थोड़ा मतलब like thought should be given to middle order as well, because right now I'm getting the impression that they are very happy and very sorted with the middle order. That is why they are focusing so much for the opener thing, which is only a stopgap arrangement, I hope, for one test. तो इतना आप अटेंशन डाल रहे हो. केएल राहुल को मिडिल ऑर्डर में थोड़ा मैच प्रैक्टिस देते, वहां कॉन्फिडेंस आता, तो ही कुड हैव बीन योर प्लेयर यार. केएल, ऋषभ पंत, विराट कोहली इन द मिडिल ऑर्डर, दैट्स व्हाट यू नीड. यू डोंट वांट एनी डाउट देयर कि सरफराज ट्राई कर लेते हैं, ध्रुव जुरेल ट्राई कर लेते हैं, फिर तो ऊपर से लेकर 11 तक डाउट ही डाउट रहेगा ना.
Nitin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
कौन उठा
Sai
ले? भाई,
Sudarshan.
किसका है? Go ahead,
Sai
Nitin.
Sudarshan, yeah. Sai Sudarshan is an exciting option, but again, let's not again draft in somebody from outside and again pick them. Yeah,
Okay.
let's not
Okay.
have a Karuna. Let's not have a Karun Nair Hanuma Vihari situation here again. That we did in 2018. Let's not do a Washington Sundar again, because that just destroys the morale of the guys who are there in this team.
Okay.
You picked Abhimanyu Easwaran as an opener. You play him as an opener and hope for the best. Really, I mean,
Okay.
you will not see the situation like we are in any other setup.
Okay.
Any other setup, you will not have this. This is like just a big
Yeah.
khichdi that's happening right now,
Okay,
and
fair
for
enough.
God's sake, let's not do this.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, let's move on to also this topic where Dhruv Jurel has won everybody's hearts, and we had just brushed on this earlier in the show. लेकिन बहुत easy है. आज he played wonderfully, and of course against England also he batted so wonderfully. Look, Dupayan, you mentioned Sarfaraz. There's an issue there. They might consider changing the lineup in the middle order. Sahil touched upon it. Rishabh, Virat, you need somebody there. KL Rahul, I don't know if he's going to open or is he going to bat in the middle order. What is the spot that he's contending for really? Do you really think Dhruv Jurel, first test match, comes in and says, yeah, I put my hand up. I'm just going to play as a middle order batter.
See,
Will that be the right message also going out?
See, I really don't care about the message. I just want the end product. So
End
the
product.
point is, today he came out to bat at 11 for 4, and the way he batted,
Yeah.
I was really impressed with the way he batted. That and his very decisive feet movement, and then
Yeah.
another the shot that he played over the slips, that Tendulkar shot, that was magnificent. Like he showed a lot of temperament. Is stage में ना, it's the temperament that matters, because एबिलिटी का क्या होता है, एबिलिटी अनलेस यू आर अ विराट कोहली, बाकी सब 19-20 का ही फर्क होता है. सो दिस इज अ टेम्परामेंट है, और ये व्हेन इट कम्स टू टेम्परामेंट,
Moment.
मुझे लगता है कि दिस गाय हैज दैट टेम्परामेंट, हैज दैट खड़ूस इन हिम टू टू फाइट इट आउट. वो इंग्लैंड की सीरीज में भी बहुत बढ़िया खेला था, यहाँ पे भी the way he batted today, I was really impressed. And in such a difficult situation, our first session में 80 बॉल खेल के 25 रन किया. Then second session में he scored another 55 in much lesser time as the pitch slightly eased out. So there are a lot of positives in his batting which I really liked. So I do not as I said in the beginning, the message का मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Whoever is in good form खिला खिला दो यार, like तो चलेगा.
Okay, okay,
हाँ,
okay.
yeah.
First of all, thanks for that tagline कि unless you're Virat Kohli, सब में 19-20 का ही फर्क है. So, journalists and broadcasters and everybody live for statements like this. So, your statement is perfectly there. Nitin, do you agree with this? That message का फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, जो form में है खिला दो. Because you just mentioned there's a bit of khichdi around right now. Especially
Yeah,
the
message.
yeah. Message matters or no? Especially against a team like Australia in Australia.
It matters to people who are in need of some assurance, like
Okay.
KL Rahul is, like Easwaran is.
Hmm.
They both need that assurance right now. And you play Dhruv Jurel as a middle order batter only is an exciting option considering what he did today. And also what he did in against England, and he's been cooling his heels. He's really not been doing much, and the way he batted, as Dwaipan said, that ramp shot that he played, he seems to have that extra bit of time, which you need on Australian pitches. Gets into positions really well. Is very compact.
Okay.
Can play square of the wicket very well, which you need in Australia. And I think as a middle order batter at number 6, I think he looks an exciting option. Play
Okay.
him in the first test.
Okay, okay. Play him in the first test match. आपने तो टीम बना ही ली है basically अपनी. अभिमन्यु ईश्वरन ओपनिंग करेंगे और उसके बाद मिडिल ऑर्डर में ध्रुव जुरैल. So Nitin is very clear. Maybe we should have him on the team management. Okay. Before we end the show, let's go quickly to another story which has been been in making some news, making some headlines, and that is related to the ball tampering incident in the first test match that happened. Because of the test matches, we were not able to discuss it, but this time David Warner has played it up, and he says he wants Cricket Australia to explain the investigation after umpire claimed scratch on ball into a match against Australia A. Remember, none of the India A players were charged. Okay, they were not charged by the umpires. Sahil, do you want to set the base for this story? What really has happened here?
No, interesting here. Warner has stirred a ball tampering pot. So interesting when I read that story when he first
Trust
made
him to
those
stir a
comments.
pot. Trust
Yeah.
David Warner to stir a pot. But go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was speaking to few people. I was speaking to few players, and it has come to my light, at least if I get the team's perspective, that after day 3, when they handed over the ball to the umpires, they started day 4, and it was
Yeah.
keeper. It was the wicket keeper Ishan Kishan, the person you actually saw as a
Hmm.
protagonist during that debate with the umpires and that chatter. He was probably the senior pro there calling the shots, because बाकी
Yeah.
सब तो like कितनों का तो first tour है ना. So
Hmm.
he was doing all the talking. He was doing all the talking because he was the one who called out for the ball. He felt that the ball wasn't doing enough, and it's the keeper who has the best seat in the house to kind of make
Yeah.
those calls. So he had a look at the ball. He questioned the umpire. The ball was apparently changed, and reportedly, क्या वर्ड यूज करूं यार मैं कि लीगली गलत ना फंस ना जाऊं या हम फंस ना जाए. मेरे को वर्ड नहीं मिल रहा, पर
No,
मैं
no, no.
सरल शब्द में बोलता हूं कि मतलब बॉल.
Wasn't the ball changed before the day's play?
No, it was changed
Ball
on
was
the
also
morning.
changed. No, the ball
Yeah,
was
so
also changed before the day's play.
डे 4 पे जो उनको बॉल मिला, द प्लेयर्स क्लेम, इंडिया ए क्लेम दैट बॉल वाज चेंज्ड फ्रॉम द ओवरनाइट बॉल
Yes,
व्हिच दे
yes,
हैड.
yeah. Overnight ball से change किया है.
हाँ, ओवरनाइट बॉल से चेंज हुआ, तभी वो ईशान का कमेंट आया, इट इज स्टूपिड एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स, जिस पे अंपायर ने बोला आई विल बुक यू फॉर दिस, ही सेड थैंक यू एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. तो दिस इज व्हाट इट इज. एंड वो स्क्रैच नेल, इफ यू स्क्रैच द बॉल, इफ यू डू दैट, अगर कुछ इसके अंदर मैटर होता जो वार्नर सजेस्ट कर रहा है, you would have expected Cricket Australia to do something about it यार. अभी
No,
मतलब
but
क्या मतलब
if you read
what
full,
अभी इसमें
but if
क्या
you
सोचूं मैं ये सोचूं कि they don't want to put the tour which kind of puts their
yeah,
balance sheet in
exactly.
the.
And this is what no,
अभी
this is
ऐसा
what
है क्या?
he's alleging. This is what he's alleging. There's another comment there on ABC Sport ka podcast pe, where they're alleging, because it's India tour and Cricket Australia is looking at finances and all, and they don't want to, matlab India always does this. India threatens to pull out of the tour agar kuch bhi hoga unke against. Come on, you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
हाँ,
Nothing has happened. The
वो
players
तो
have not been
मुद्दा है.
charged.
वो
आप खुद
ईशान वाला वर्ड मैं यूज करूंगा. दीज सजेशंस आर प्योर स्टूपिड कि आप थ्रेट
Okay.
करते हो या कुछ करते हो. जब लास्ट टाइम हुआ वो मंकी गेट स्कैंडल में हुआ था, और फिर मोहम्मद सिराज वाला रेशियल अटैक जो
Yeah.
हुआ उसको, जो बाउंड्री
Yeah.
रोप पे हुआ था, दोज आर लाइक टू एक्सट्रीम इंसिडेंट्स, राइट? अभी वो
Yeah.
सबको आप ये ईशान किशन ने स्टूपिड बोल दिया तो बॉल चेंज करा दिया, तो उस सब पे आपने इतना हाई तौबा मचा दिया. बॉल टैंपर किया तो एलिगेशन लगाओ ना, आईसीसी को कंप्लेंट करो. आपका अंपायर नहीं कर रहा तो उसको पूछो. इंडिया
Exactly.
को ब्लेम
Exactly.
दे रहे हैं. हाँ.
And there is no doubt here that India does help. I mean, अभी उनका losses
Of
हुआ
course
है,
it
but
does. Of course it does.
with the
आप
Indian
उनका
team, they'll
recent
be
balance
very
sheet
happy.
देखो, recent
They'll be
financial
very
statement
happy. Yeah.
देखो. Had that COVID tour didn't happen, cricket Australia के वांदे लग चुके थे, ताले लग जाते cricket Australia में. They had so much pending payments to be done. That tour was the saving grace for them, and this
300
tour
million
will.
dollars.
अभी ये
300
tour
million dollars during COVID. India, BCCI, Indian cricket team helping cricket Australia. Last word from Dopain. Dopain, do you agree? उज्जवल मौर्य कह रहे हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया 2 सीरीज के हार के बाद चिड़े हुए हैं. डेविड वार्नर is just stirring the pot as he always does. Dopain, last comment from you.
हाँ चिड़े तो हुए हैं बट आई थिंक because the matter ended there is no reason for David Warner to add fuel to the fire. वहाँ पे जो हुआ था. I did not like the way Ishan Kishan reacted to the situation. He was really being arrogant. वो उतना arrogance शायद बनता नहीं है. And but the matter had ended there. I think Australia would have done, Warner would have done better not to have stirred it up and started this controversy all over again. एक बढ़िया series होने वाला है. Why bring all these things? If it had died down, if it had died a natural death, there was no reason to start it all over again.
Kind of did. Kind of did. Nitin, your final thoughts on this? Om Prakash saying they are again starting their mind games. I will not mind if it can spur our players also.
You
Maybe
generally and
अरे ईशान किशन को ऐसे
generally,
कैसे कह दिया तुमने?
yeah, generally an Australia tour, their media and their fans and sometimes their umpires. Now, of course, it's not possible. Play the role of the 12th man beautifully. So I
Yeah.
think this is what David Warner and the rest of the people are trying to do.
Yeah.
David Warner also, I think, has an axe to grind with Cricket Australia after what happened
Yes.
post Sandpaper Gate.
Yes.
So I think
Yes.
he's mixing it up beautifully and serving it up hot.
Okay, there you go. We've had our discussion on India A's tours today and matches today, and of course, what it means for the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and also what's really happened off the field. David Warner always helping us with a topic, never short of discussion points. David Warner. But thank you guys, Nitin, Sahil, and Dwapayan. Thanks to all our viewers for joining us. As I said
Thank
earlier, tomorrow a new series starts, a very छोटी series, not a very long series, 4 T20Is. मुझे नहीं समझ आया कि 4 का क्या खेल है, why not 3, why not 5, but anyway, a very short series starting tomorrow. We'll be back at 6:30 looking ahead to the first T20 between South Africa and India.
Just,
Until then,
just
yeah,
can
go
I
ahead.
make a small point?
Yeah, please
Yeah,
go ahead.
since you mentioned India versus South Africa starting tomorrow, I think Ruturaj Gaikwad is playing in the wrong continent.
Okay. ये सारा डिस्कस करेंगे ना कल, so don't miss out guys. ये सारा कुछ हम डिस्कस करेंगे. Who is in the wrong continent? Hardik Pandya might have been or should have been in Australia, you never know. So who's playing in the wrong continent? We'll talk about all of that. But do join us tomorrow, 6:30 tomorrow on Beyond the Boundary TUI Sport. See you tomorrow.